Hello everyone. Today we will see the distribution of MMF in the air gap periphery of an AC machine. In case of an AC winding, we will see the MMF distribution due to a particular coil. Okay, let me share my screen. All right. Now let us consider. Now let's draw the diagram first. Write the title here. This is the MMF distribution in the air gap due to a coil. We will first try to draw a stator and a rotor. Okay. Now we have drawn the stator of a typical AC machine. Now this is the rotor and this is the air gap. Now we will draw one coil here. Let us consider this is the slot which we want to access. Okay. And this is the slot at the other end. Okay. And let us consider this is point A and this is point A dash. We are dealing with? We are dealing with a single coil here. Okay. And if this is a dot, it means that the current is coming out of the screen here. Then the other part of the coil will be like this. This is the cross. Okay. Now this will be the magnetic axis of the stator coil. Now we draw the magnetic axis of the stator coil like this. This is magnetic axis of stator coil. Okay. Now, since this is the cross here, okay, and suppose this is of entered, the coil is a entered coil. These are some of the assumption which we are taking. Now, since it is A dash and this is crossed, it means that the current is going away from the screen. It means the current is going inside the screen here. So if you use the right hand curl rule, according to that, if the current is going into the screen, then the direction of magnetic field will be something like this, or you can say the direction of MMF. This will be something like this. Now let us zoom here a bit. Okay, the direction is like this. This direction, this direction, this direction. Let us draw one more flux lines like this. Now similarly, if we talk about this position, the current is coming out of the screen. Therefore, the magnetic field lines will be like this. It will be like this only. It will be like this. Now, what we see that if we talk about this air gap periphery, we see that all the magnetic lines of forces is moving from right to left of your screen. Okay, it means that due to the action of the electromagnet, this part has got the n pole and this part has got the s pole. And we also know that the magnetic lines of forces move from north to south. So this is justified. Okay. Now, this is the actual phenomenon which is happening. Now we will consider this flux only. What we were supposed to do to estimate the MMF distribution in air gap air gap between stator and rotor in AC machine or in AC winding. Okay. Now what we will do here is that we simply represent this the stator and the rotor on a linear plane. How that is done? Let us see. Now, suppose we are at this position. Suppose we are at the position A. Okay. Now let's draw the position A first. Okay. This is a dot and this is your A. Sorry. We want to draw the stator on the upper side. You want to draw A like this. This is your A. Okay. And this is the other part of the stator. And after A, if we move, if we move to the to any side after A, if we move to either we go to A after A after A, if we move towards A dash, okay, either through N or through S, what we will get? We will get the A dash. This is your A dash. And after another rotation or another half rotation, what we will get? We will get the A again. Okay, so this is your stator part. This upper part is your stator. It means that this part is represented by this part. Okay, this is your stator part, and this is your rotor surface. This is your rotor surface. This is your rotor surface. It means it is a stator, and this is rotor surface. This particular thing is your rotor surface. And what is this? This gap. This gap is your air gap. Okay, now what we will do, we are supposed to find the MMF distribution of this particular air gap. Okay, now this is, now let's draw some axis lines like this. Okay, and this is the center line. This is the magnetic axis, since magnetic axis lies exactly between this cross and this dot. Okay, so let's draw that magnetic axis line. This is the magnetic axis, and this is your magnetic axis. Okay, now obviously this is your pole pitch. This distance is your pole pitch, this distance, and again this distance is your pole pitch. Okay, now we know that the MMF created in this air gap is due to the number of coils, or the number of turns, multiplied by the current flowing in that, is equal to the MMF. MMF is nothing but the product of the number of conductors into the current value. Okay, now this MMF is required to establish the magnetic flux in this core, or sorry, in this air gap. Now, at any point of analysis, for example, if we are analyzing this very point, it means that the MMF involved, okay, is half of the value of Ni by 2, because at when we are analyzing this point, it means there must be some MMF associated with this part as well. Okay, so this entire MMF gets involved in establishes air gap flux, and at any given point we have two sets of air gap. If we are analyzing this point, then the other set of fluxes is present here, or is associated here. So at any given physical point in an air gap, the value of the magnetic flux, the peak value of the magnetic flux will be Ni by 2. Now let us draw the MMF lines. Now this is the axis, Here we see that this is the S part here. This complete part is the S. It is the since it is the line of it is the magnetic axis of the stator. So this part will be seen as S and this part will be N. Likewise, we can write this S part here and N part here. Okay. Now first of all, let us try to write the MMF first. Now similarly, it is A here, sorry, A dash. So what will be the direction of magnetic flux here? Since at A, the current is going towards the screen. Okay. So according to the curl rule, the magnetic lines of force will be moving like this. Will be moving like this. It will be like this only. Okay. Okay. And at A, what will be the direction? The direction will be something like this. Now one can notice the direction of magnetic lines of force in the air gap. Similarly, at A position, it means at dot position, say the current is coming out. Okay. Therefore, the direction of magnetic lines of forces will be downward here. Okay. Okay. Now we see that at the poles, if this is your poles, at the poles at S and at N, see the direction of the magnetic lines of forces. The magnetic lines of forces are aligning towards the stator from the rotor via this air gap. Okay. Therefore, if we draw the overall MMF, the overall MMF will be something like this. Here, it will be something like this. Okay. Or it is, since it is in the upward, then we say here the positive value. And if something is downward like this at N, the magnetic lines of forces from both A dash and A are downwards. Therefore, the MF will be like this. And we simply join these lines, okay, to obtain the MMF. Sorry. It will be like this. This is plus Ni by 2 and this is minus Ni by 2 and this whole distance is now Ni. Okay. So this is the air gap MMF due to a coil, a current carrying coil. Okay. Now, since this is a, now we can write that when a square wave when a square wave, ये क्या है? This is your square wave. This shape, this blue shape is nothing but a square wave. When a square wave is subjected to Fourier transform, जब इसको when we apply Fourier transform on this square wave, what we get? We get a sinusoidal fundamental waveform and the harmonics. Okay, so if we draw that sinusoidal fundamental waveform, what was the shape? It will be, it will start here, its peak will be here, and it will go there. Okay, it will be something like this, and again it will be something like this. It will be something like this. Okay, therefore this is the fundamental mental sinusoidal waveform. Okay, now we have seen that the actual MMF distribution in the air gap periphery is actually square wave in nature, but since you can see that this square wave may be decomposed into various signals, which various sinusoidal signal, in which the fundamental sinusoidal may be drawn like this, and plus there may be some other harmonics as well. But due to the contribution of only one coil, we can see that this waveform is approaching towards a sinusoidal. Okay, although an squared wave is not a sinusoidal, but if some modification is made in the square wave, we can make it a sinusoidal waveform. Therefore, with the help of single coil, we were able to see that what kind of air gap fluxes has been established. Okay, now for the MMF distribution in the air gap due to multiple coils, due to various distributed winding. Okay, we can, you can refer our next videos. Thank you.